199. That's right, Mike. We already caught up to our wrestling show. Episode 199 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Mike, we had quite the downer of an episode just a short couple of days ago, and now we get to completely turn it around and get right back in the playoff conversation. No, I'm just
yeah, we're back, baby. Climbing into that 8 seed. Woo!
I did. I was looking back at all the numbers for the show. This being episode 199, of course, that means episode 200 is coming up this weekend. And we made it to episode 200 for wrestling, and then we just up and quit, and then that was that. So we'll see.
Just need two more.
We'll see what happens with this. We'll just never do. We can't get past the hump. We'll have to start another show and see how far we can get past 200. Festar, what's going on, my man? So yeah, we have some fun stuff to discuss today, Mike. I've
friend of the show.
My little man is playing with his piano down here that he got for Christmas. So we might get to hear the stylings of young Teddy Boy and what he's learned so far.
Teddy Connick Jr., huh? Nice.
Eric's here. What's up, my man? Performance art. What's going on?
Oh, yeah.
If you guys caught any of our fun size episodes, Performance art was the standout commenter on our little fun size eps. I think the last one was like 3 minutes long. So I'm doing better with it. I'm figuring out how to cut them down. 3 minutes. Less people watched it though. So if I do 11 minutes, I get YouTube hikes it up. They put it up the scale. So I don't know what to do. I feel like 3 minutes is easier to digest, but YouTube is not happy with a 3 minute video. So we'll figure it out as we move along.
Got to get it up to 8.
All right. Let's start talking about that Sharks game. But first, we'll just get some of this out of the way. Why not? Witkowski, Barber, Caden Fulcher up, or reassigned, I should say, to the taxi squad. Luke Witkowski has kind of been up and down. It definitely looks like right now with that with him coming aboard again in the off season that was.
He was the one who said his New Year's resolution was to get a goal, I think.
Yeah, so better shot. And yeah. I guess in the NHL, I'm not. I wouldn't put any money on him seeing time. But who knows? Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we're just an Omicron week away from seeing Luke called up. And Matt, I don't know if you've been scoreboard watching, but Red Wings are. Good Lord. We're just 1 point. We're 1 point behind Boston.
Yeah.
And they do have 5 games in hand still. So do keep that in mind. But just 1 point.
Yeah, it's about time we start ordering those standings by the points percentage. I think we've been trying to urge everybody to do that all season, but that definitely helps tell the story right now.
They're at 621. We're coming in at 515.
Nice. I think we did it before too. We were looking at past seasons and how far above 500 we need to be, and I think you really got to hit that 600 to consider yourself like I'm a legit playoff contender, and I might actually have a shot at this.
Yeah, I would also say that we need to continue, maybe playing the Sharks because our total season goal differential, Matt, the top 8 seeds in the conference are all in the positive. Boston who are chasing +9. Red Wings still at -18, which is 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions, and a field goal away from getting to even again. So we're in a little trouble there. But yeah, as long as we keep playing the Sharks. I don't know if you saw, Matt. I don't know how much time I'm going to devote to that game of this show. But they had just finished talking about the Red Wings setting their own futility streak for not getting shorthanded goals.
Oh,
it was at like 104 games. Oh, 101. Yeah.
Yo. Yeah, I built out. I've got the little slideshow here. First shorthanded goal in 101 games. And we get the fastest 2 shorthanded goals, or I should say not the fastest, but on our list for Detroit Red Wings fastest 2 shorthanded goals, 37 seconds apart. Pius Suter and Tyler Bertuzzi. If you kind of run down this list here, you've got Shanny and Doug Brown in 1999 did it, December 17th, 1999. Delvecchio and McCoskey, 1958. Fedorov and Lidstrom, pretty cool, 1999. Primo and Fatizov, 96. Fedorov and Yzerman, 92. Burr and Yzerman, 88. And then there's Suter and Tyler. Mike, how insane is? I mean, we've got 2 of them on this list here. Shanahan and Doug Brown, 11 seconds. Delvecchio and McCoskey, 14 seconds. What the hell happened? How is that even possible? 11.
I don't know how to feel about this stat from 1958, but can I say how outside of maybe McCoskey, who we don't know as well, and I don't know if I want to throw Keith Primo in there. This is a pretty impressive list of human beings who've played hockey. And then there's Bertuzzi and Pius.
Wait,
there's quite a few. I'm just saying there's a lot of Hall of Famers in the
impressive list. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we were on the same page. I thought you were throwing him in the we don't know.
No, I like a name they'll go, Primo. Eh? I mean, I would put Primo closer on a Suter list than I would on an Yzerman list.
Well, agree to disagree. But yeah, I mean, this is insane.
Yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer Keith Primo, huh? Yeah.
Clearly, you got to be a big name here to get on this list. But yeah, it blows my mind. 11 seconds apart on short-handed goals. Quite a dumpster fire of a power play. But back it up here. Red Wings also won the game 6-2. This is a nice bounce back after quite the stinker against Boston. That wasn't even painful as Teddy's letting us know down here at my feet. That wasn't just painful. That was just straight up boring and hard to watch from a Red Wings fan perspective. It was just bad hockey. And you heard as much from Jeff. We even talked about it in the last episode. We pulled up Jeff's comments, and he was like, "No, there's like no excuse for it." What was the line you took? There was no rust. This was just bad.
Yeah, this wasn't a rust situation. This is one team. Well, this part isn't a quote. This part is paraphrasing, but he's like, Boston. It was essentially just an ass kicking. So. I don't want to attribute this to, guys coming back from COVID and getting back into the thick of it. And nope, this is one team really wanted to win. And then we were the other guys. So I don't know if this is really as much of a measuring stick, because we know that the Sharks are not as good as Boston. But at least it kind of felt good to get that rotten play out of our system. Really fill up the stat sheet with goals. Break some dubious streaks, kind of show our boy Hurdle what life could be like. Playing in Detroit instead of San Jose, which was my goal in this game.
Well, I mean, I would come away and say, not exactly the best showing. Like I wasn't watching that going, oh boy, we better make that trade straight away with his 33.61 expected goals for percentage against the Red Wings defense. So, not the most impressive showing for our top trade target.
I mean, you did just defend Keith Primo. Can Hurdle be the next Keith Primo, Matt? Can we make that argument?
So what I was coming to, Mike, was the point of Boston. That game against Boston being the stinker and hard to watch, and right, there was no excuse for it. Straight from Jeff Blashill. And then this game coming back 6-2. Mike, to your point, which I think this goes back to early December, maybe November actually is more accurate. It was the first time you brought it up, but you said it. It's a 500 team. It's going to be ebbs and flows exactly like this. And is there anything more accurate than saying 500 teams get a 500 when they lose by 4 goals and then the next game turn around and win by 4 goals? This is perfect. You're going to take those teams that are playoff teams, and man, oh man, if we look like poo-poo in some of those games. But then you take take a team like the Sharks, who will probably be on the outside when the season's all over, and handled them pretty good. It's just that's it right now. We're right in that middle where we're not. The only way you make ground is winning those games against Washington and Boston. Like the only way you make ground in the playoff race, and that's our evidence right there, right? Like you're stuck in the 500 realm, so you're going to be outside of the playoff race by the end of the season, and you're still going to have these games though where it's fun to watch again. And Pius Suter looks like a completely different player. Tyler Bertuzzi does his 60% shooting percentage, like we always say we need to see out of Tyler for us to get a win. And I will say I don't know that for sure, but certainly we can pull that up. Nedeljkovic has another good-looking game. He actually was. I will say this because I was going to put this as part of the show, and I had to remove the slide because Nedeljkovic was negative. He broke his positive expected goals against, goals saved above expected streak. Kind of a bummer there. Yeah. All right, but let's jump into the comments here. Some of the comments just wanted us to move on here, but performance art, he does like that Blash doesn't make excuses. That's actually might be a good transition to what he said about Filip Zadina and also the penalty against Givani Smith. But to that point,
we got to make a few minutes for that too.
Performance art pointing out we do have a new second line to consider. So, Mike, maybe to my point about Nedeljkovic and having a whole slide devoted to it and then removing it, I'm going to say maybe not. So clearly, 6 goals yesterday. The second line looked really good. I mean, from the eyeball test, we don't even need to worry about analytics. Rasmussen looked like a whole new player. Like I described it online. I forget who I was talking to. It was either performance art or our buddy Jared, who isn't in the comments right now. But I said, putting him on the wing gives Michael Rasmussen that space to be the speed of Michael Rasmussen and not have to get back up and down the ice with the same sense of urgency or need from the position perspective, from the center position. So that Rasmussen doesn't need to have the speed to get back up and down the ice. Wing, he has a little bit more wiggle room. But let me go through here because I have a couple of things to talk about in regards to Rasmussen. We also want to talk about the Filip Zadina cut, but we could start the conversation here. So what I built out, a natural stat trick, Mike. And this is just these numbers for anybody who's watching on YouTube right now. We'll explain everything. I'll move slow. These are actually sorted. And you know what? Oh, shoot. They were unsorted. But what I have highlighted here, the ones that were highlighted are the ones that have the highest expected goals for percentage. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, everybody listen to the podcast right now, what I have in here is performance by players 1, 2, and 3. Player 1, Filip Zadina. Player 2, Pius Suter. Player 3, Michael Rasmussen. And it's them either playing together, alone, or some version or combination of the two. Mike, your highest expected goals for percentage is Filip Zadina not playing with either one of them. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to discover, based on last night, was there such an amazing performance that we could say the second line is good to go? So Filip Zadina playing by himself, no Pius, no Rasmussen. Mike, number 2 on this list, expected goals for percentage, 56.77. I should mention that first number was 58.81. Number 2 is Pius Suter and Michael Rasmussen with no Filip Zadina. So that was our situation last night. And we loved it. Looked amazing. And number 3 here, Mike, on the list is Filip Zadina without Pius Suter, but with Michael Rasmussen at 56.21. So what do we gather from this? Mike, you gather absolutely nothing. You gather 0 from this because we don't have enough of a sample size to say anything yet. So what I brought this up for when I first started trying to figure out how much better did Pius Suter and Michael Rasmussen look together compared to Pius and Zadina it's really not statistically significant in any way, shape, or form yet for us to make a determination. So, like, even if you want to look at Zadina and Suter specifically without Rasmussen, so you're looking at 234 minutes of ice time this year, they're just about at 50% for expected goals for percentage. And that's 234 minutes of ice time compared to the 11 minutes of ice time that Suter and Rasmussen have played together so far. This is all coming from Natural Stat Trick. I got to keep throwing that in there and make sure you guys know where this is coming from. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I clearly, like I said, the eyeball test to say it was passed last night. Certainly the second line looked great, but I am not ready to say anything yet more than that, especially based off of these numbers here, and especially we can't forget we had a couple of slices of Swiss cheese in net for San Jose, not to mention. I mean, we're talking about the Red Wings being able to skate circles around a team. And even Jeff brought that up where whether it was in the defensive zone or on the offensive zone, they were able to get a step ahead of San Jose. So, I mean, you don't get that every night. So, this kind of goes twofold, right? I keep talking here. You could measure this with Zadina's out, so the team just looks better, right? Somebody could say that. And it would be tough for you to sit there and make the argument against it, besides the fact that it's a very small sample size. Or you just say, San Jose isn't a great team, and we played better at home than a team that's not so great. So there's part two of that conversation. So it's really what you want to latch onto harder right now as a fan and observer of last night's game.
I think playing San Jose is a fun measuring stick. We're looking at Washington and Boston. Those are, for me, it's not much of a leap. More upper echelon teams, right, where you need that kind of maximum effort that Blash alluded to. Sharks are kind of, they're on our level. They're kind of right around 500. Play a little bit better at home than they do on the road. So you're right, we don't have much of a sample size, but I think we have at least enough to maybe not healthy scratch Zadina again, but kind of see what he looks like down the pecking order, because I think there's enough eyeballs kind of opening at Rasmussen's performance to kind of be like, hey, maybe give this another shot, because we've been waiting for this guy to reemerge from a prospect that we used to be excited about, like a first round center that we were excited about, and we were kind of worried this was going to be a guy who was just going to fourth line the rest of his life. So I think we're hoping for those less glimpses and more consistency, and this was a whistle to whistle full 60 minutes where you kind of felt like, hey, this guy looks like something here. So at the very least, I would hope when we play Anaheim this week, maybe we could give that line combination another shot. And then I guess the follow-up question, Matt, is where would you put Zadina against the Ducks?
Yeah, I think what I wanted to end the conversation with is that I'm not ready to say second line is solved, or even say that Rasmussen is down.
We do have to ride hot hands with a team that's this void of depth.
Right. You absolutely have to play the same exact line again. So what we have injuries now. Zadina's scratched for a game, and now he's just going to be back in because of injuries. So, or at least that's what I read on the Athletic today, as they were trying to dissect what was going on last night. So you just got to hope that it's not one of those things where Blashill thinks that the problem will be solved because of one game of being scratched. We also have to remember Zadina wasn't even for sure on the second line in every game leading up to this too. He was getting moved down to the third line already. I think the more important thing here, though, is that regardless of what we want to talk about with Zadina, Rasmussen had a good game. Like you put it, Mike, riding the hot hand is kind of how you want to keep moving forward with this, because you don't. We're basically talking about 2 first-round picks here, and the last thing you want to do is end this season and start looking at both of those guys and going, well, shoot, we need as many first-round picks as we can get, and scratching 2 of them off the list would really hurt. Am I scratching Zadina off any lists right now? Absolutely not. Is there anything that he's done so far, putting the puck in the back of the net, to tell me he absolutely is a piece of this core going into the future? Nah.
No.
It doesn't mean that we're writing him off, but you're looking for things. I mean, look at the season Larkin's having. Look at the things that Moritz Seider does. You could put those guys in the core. No problem. Boom, core. I'm very particular about, who I put in my core. I know there's other podcasts out there that are just like, well, core is just your guys that are in the top 6. And, we won't name names on who those podcasts are, but if they're listening, they know who I'm talking about. And it's just,
I feel like
we're talking about like our winning Stanley Cup future core. There's probably 3 names I'm happy right now to still use a pencil, but I'm 3 names I'm going to pencil in. So far, not enough to pencil Z in there.
Zadina right now, well, he looks more like, and I know that this is a little bit different because of injury, but just in terms of, like the team that drafted him, how they have to start feeling, he kind of feels more like St. Louis Fabbri rather than Detroit Fabbri, where it's kind of like, man, I don't know what we got to do to get this guy going. If it's ever going to happen in Detroit, because we got to start seeing healthy scratches. It's not like there's never been a player who's succeeded after getting sat down for a couple games, but it's just
Anthony Miller actually had quite a bit of success after he got sat down.
Yeah, it's just man, we keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and I don't know how much longer we're going to be doing that, Matt, especially as we start to see, maybe where some contracts are starting to end. Well, yeah. Like what kind of money would you want to be giving Zadina at this point?
Right, and that's a really tough conversation, because what you get to say to Zadina in that conversation is you haven't shown us enough for you to get, first round pick, second contract money. But also, why is that exciting for us? Zadina hasn't shown us anything. Can't wait to sign him to that tiny contract.
And again, he's only 22, right. But he is going to be a restricted free agent, and you're kind of like, well.
And when I say he hasn't shown us anything, Exhibit A here is the difference between his expected goals and the actual goals. So that's before I get jumped on for saying he hasn't shown us anything. Clearly, he shows us a pretty good two-way game, even though these numbers actually identify a player who's struggling quite a bit defensively as well. But yeah, I mean, offensively, the chances, the attempts are there. It's just, yeah. I did, I was talking over you too. I got to give you an opportunity to finish your thought too.
Oh, yeah, no, that was pretty much it. Just because, I think both sides right now are, I think we talked about this when Fabbri got his extension, but I mean, both sides have got to be, Red Wings are not jumping to, extend a guy who we're expecting goals any time now. No, they haven't come in yet. We're still expecting them. And then Zadina, there's no reason for him to want to sign a contract that, is going to be reflective of his low, basic statistics, goals and assists, because they're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a great point too, because he'll probably want to come in with a short term, and that'll be good for both sides, because you don't want to lock up what you've seen so far from Zadina.
Yeah, I feel like you would definitely want to prove, I got more than what I've shown you. So, give me a short term, and I'll put those numbers on the stat sheet.
Well, certainly be something we'll be talking about with him being our. I would say, looking at the list right now, you've got Mitchell Stevens and Filip Zadina is probably our 2 hottest restricted free agents. I mean, if I go down the list, Chase Pearson, Taro Hirose, meh. And then we've got to make some decisions, some future decisions on Victor Brattstrom, Philip Larson, and then who we just talked about being called up to the taxi squad, Caden Fulcher. So, Claire, again, I'll just reiterate, probably the most important RFA conversation we're going to have. Mike, I dare say with the advanced analytics showing a player that can be successful, but the production clearly not being there, this might be, I would say, since the Yzer plan started, this might be the most interesting restricted free agent contract we'll be discussing coming up, as the months move along, as we go into the off season, as Red Wings fans go, everybody on Twitter, everybody on Reddit, this will be a very interesting conversation, I think. We might get one sooner rather than later. If this just comes down to, Zadina wanting to move forward, let's ink another contract and see what I can do next season. Or, maybe we'll hit arbitration again. I'm not sure. I'm looking at I'm making sure before I, step out of bounds here. I want to make sure he would actually be eligible for arbitration. I don't see anything that goes against that. So yeah, I think, oh, nope. Not eligible. All right. So we don't even have to worry about that. All right. Here you go. Bingo, bango.
That's going to be a really tough. I'm glad I'm not his agent. That's going to be a really tough deal right now. A wing, so a non-center without a lot of points. We don't really give him, we call him a defensive forward right now because he's not scoring, but it's not like we, necessarily count on him on the penalty kill or something like that. He's not really contributing on the power play very much. Woo, but he's still only 22.
There it is.
Only 22. And man, we expect a lot of goals at some point. So we'll see.
Now, Kalen here, and sorry if I'm assuming Kalen. Raz looked like a whole new player? ? For all the podcast listeners. Really? He made one good pass after he flubbed his chance. Still see him covering no one in their end, losing board battles to sticks, dump and chase without chase. I watched a completely different game from Kalen. So what I saw were multiple instances throughout this game that Rasmussen was making plays all on his own. And that was before the puck even hit the back of the net from Pius Suter's stick. So for me, I saw a guy that was making a lot of plays. I mean, first, second, and third period. I saw a guy that played a very good game. So
just let us know too if it is Kalen probably, or if it is Kalen or something maybe we're not used to. But I think what you're describing is what we've seen the whole year out of Rasmussen. But I'm going to be on Matt's coattails. Yesterday was, woo! It looked like he was playing for his contract last night. He looked he looked to ring up his deal last night or something.
I mean, yeah, I get to kind of cheat here too and play this game. I mean, Rasmussen's going to end the night. Like, if you want to talk about him losing battles from the eyeball test, from advanced analytics test, he was blowing everything out of the water. I mean, 72% expected goals for. So what we're measuring there are chances he's giving up to chances that while he's on the ice are hitting the net, or at least being thrown at the net. And the same thing for attempts, 62% while Rasmussen is on the ice. 62% of the time they're in favor for the Red Wings. That's tipping the scales, Mike. That's a hell of a night. Now it's an on ice statistic, so it has a lot to do with what Fabbri and Suter are doing out there too. But I mean, here's the thing: we've seen the second line perform this well. We just haven't seen these plays and the finish and the excitement from the second line. We've just seen a lot of disappointment. So I'm going to come back, chalk this up to Rasmussen did have a great game, and to performance art. I think he said on here, just kind of reiterating, I think you leave Rasmussen and Pius together, Fabs at the moment. But yeah, that's what we're coming down to, right? We're going to move forward. It was a good enough game for me to see this continue, and the advanced analytics track as well. So full steam ahead.
I mean, any time that you're getting a game where not only did you seem to unlock Rasmussen, but you unlock Pius again, because we know that he's not, I think they pulled up that stat that was like, was that Pius's second multi-goal game, and the other one was that infamous hat trick he had in his Chicago debut against us last year. So anytime you can unlock both of those guys, I think you want to keep riding with that. And something was going right.
I mean,
so
yeah,
that's what I'd say.
Yeah, and we've spent all season going and unlocking is the perfect way to put it. We've been going all season trying to figure out what's wrong with this second line, and then then you get a nice looking night like that.
Home game against the Sharks, yeah.
We do have some conversation here about Zadina getting moved. I would say, like, going back to that core conversation.
Do they mean traded?
Oh, yeah, getting traded. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where I'd come back to that core conversation and just go, anybody that's not a part of that core in my eyes. And like I said, it's a pretty short list for me. And of course, you're not looking to trade any of the prospects we have right now either. But I mean, he's available to me. When I talk about signing him as an RFA, it's only because I don't know how big the market's going to be for Zadina. And I think somebody mentioned in here that Steve, Silver 3344. Steve preaches patience. So there's no rush to move Zadina. And I think it could be one of those situations where he's going to get his next contract. And if there's no rush to move him now, we might want to put him in a good, Steve will put him in a position where he's still an extremely movable contract, and he'll probably never leave that trade market unless he absolutely blows the doors off production wise.
No, I mean, hopefully, Zadina, again, we're going to hit that. That's, word of the day is unlock. Otherwise, he could be another Brendan Perlini. He could be another, Fabbri, but we'd be on the other end of it where it's just kind of like, man, I don't know if this guy just needs a hard reset outside of, Blashill in Detroit. Still plenty of time, but it's just something that, as more games go on, you want to start to see some actual goals going.
So I do want to go back, way back in the comments here. Performance Art said, what did Blash say about Zadina? And then we'll move on from this conversation. But what I thought was interesting last night is when Blashill was questioned about the move on Zadina and Rasmussen moving to the second line. And Blash referred to it as, guys are getting sit because I'm bringing other guys in. That's just what happens, which, it wasn't anything like, if this is something where Blash is trying to give Zadina time, if he's sending him a message, that's definitely not going to be taken care of. Blash is pretty good about not airing the dirty laundry to the press. So we're not going to get anything there. But I did still think it was interesting, though, when he brought up putting Rasmussen on the second line, how much he wanted to see size on the second line. And he said, I love how Fabbri plays. He's a little firecracker. This isn't verbatim. He's a little firecracker, I love me some Fabbri. That's exactly what Blash said. So he needed to get Rasmussen in there, and he was trying to fit a guy of Rasmussen's size on that second line. I thought that was more telling than anything he like neglected to say about Zadina and being out of the game. Only because he's got new plans for the second line, and you don't look at Zadina and go, there's your size, there's your beef right there. He's got it's three guys of similar. I would put them all in the same vein of Zadina and Suter and Fabbri in regards to what are they doing on the ice? Well, they're not out there to, man, I almost threw in a porn reference. I was gonna say bang bros. They're out there to bang bros. I don't know why I was gonna say that. It's old. You remember that one? That was one of the first ones I remember watching when I was a kid. Anyway.
No, we didn't watch that, man. Holy mackerel. Continue.
Oh man. Where do I go from here? Help me.
I don't know. I don't know how I can give you a lifeline out of that one. But I think what you were saying is that the three guys on that line already have a similar build. And then Rasmussen is, he's our big hoss, as Jim Ross would say. Our 6'6" guy. I don't know if the second line we're just, man, we need some size. I don't even think it's that. We need some productivity, man. We need to start scoring some goals outside the first line. And I don't. We give Blashill so much grief. Not you and I don't think. About it's sometimes we just need to boggle this whole outside of the top 3, the bottom 9, as we'll call it. We don't have a top 6, our bottom 9, and just get some guys together and see if we can get these pieces to fit. So I mean, I don't even know if he really needed an explanation or an excuse. It's not like these guys were, they were cooking. We weren't letting the chefs cook. There was nothing. The stove hasn't been on. The fryer's not on. Didn't even have salads and fruit ready to go. It's pretty void, Matt, outside of that first line. So I don't know what kind of explanation Blashill owes us at all. This is a pretty toothless offensive team. So he should have. You know what he could have said? Fuck it.
Well, there goes our clean rating for this episode. Well, no, wait, I ruined it when I brought up Bang Bros. Silver 3344, Mike, you had him reeling. You were a look of disgust on your
I'm
face.
saying, he didn't owe us anything. He could have just said F it. That's why.
He meant my horrible reference. And your reaction.
Yeah.
Matthew Nichols, he wants to know, and I'm gonna edit this for you because he also edited his own statement next. I wonder if Vrana could help Z. So I think we've all been kind of right. Like we've put a pin in that. Like I'm going to say I use the phrase put a pin in it incorrectly right there, but actually it might be correct because we've been talking about Vrana coming back so we can make a playoff push a couple of weeks ago. But let's put a pin in that because I think we're settled in this 500 identity right now. So we're outside of the playoffs, but we've been talking about creating a formidable second line, and the problem is we don't have the center for it right now, but we saw a lot of potential last year with Zadina and Vrana playing together, and they look to have some chemistry a wee bit, even though if you take a look at the statistics, I think Zadina only ended up with 2 assists after Vrana joined the team. So did Zadina go gangbusters after Vrana showed up? No, but we did see some clever passes, and they look to have like instant chemistry in that regard. So I think it's just something we'll cross our fingers on. That's where we were talking about bringing in another center, and then you look at this second line right now, and you could just bump that down to the third line, and that's where. If this was a legitimate line and it continues this level of at least creativity, right? And chemistry, we don't need to see this production every night. But if it looked to continue on this path again, creativity wise, chemistry wise, effort wise, you make that your third line, and Vrana comes back and you hope for some chemistry and connection with Zadina. But yeah, then the conversation immediately turns to where's your center for that line, whether or not you want to make that the second or third line. You could make it Pius, but now we're already breaking things up for a line that we think right now is working. So it's a huge mess. Craig throws in there Veleno. I'm going to throw Veleno in the same boat as Zadina right now. I understand Veleno's had some bursts. He's had some flashes, I should say, is probably the better way to put that, of some really good looking hockey. And clearly it could be about the role that he's playing right now or that the Wings have him playing, which is hurting his ability to create and, do what he needs to do offensively. I recognize that. But also, I don't look at Veleno in any way, shape, or form and see him as he hasn't shown me enough to say that's my answer. I am right now playing the game of looking outside the organization to actually create not just the top 6, but we're trying to create 3 lines here. I just did 4 off screen. 3 lines here that are going to make us a legit contender. And I think it's very fair to say that we haven't seen enough from Veleno to plug him in. Now, Mike, right now, this team is so bad. Put Veleno in there. Let's see what happens because it doesn't hurt us right now. We're not trying to make the playoffs. We're not trying to win a Stanley Cup. Go ahead, give it a shot. But I haven't seen enough to say, let's roll.
I don't know. Veleno, he always seems like kind of the fan answer right now, where it's like, let's just give him a shot. And I feel like he's just a Zadina whose warts we don't know yet because we just don't have enough of a sample size. So it's not like he's really lighting the world on fire statistically. It's just we don't know to have that like frustration, animosity against him yet. So I don't think that he's going to be our second line center of the future. It's probably going to have to be somebody that they do sign in free agency or somebody that they draft. I don't see a number 2 center on this team. I don't see one in the minors in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that is actually a pretty scary thought. Like eventually we're going to be turning back to we've done our prospect roundup, but eventually we're going to have to take a look at the upcoming draft. And
was a commenter? Was that Mike Smith? Was that his name?
Craig
Smith.
Craig McDonald.
Yeah, I think that
Craig McDonald.
Yeah. Oh, there was a comment ago that was about Vrana, that he's the one who posted the question.
Oh, Matthew Nichols.
Wow, I wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Another Matthew here. Yeah, I think that Vrana would help Zadina. I think the Red Wings' scariest issue is Vrana would easily be whoever's on his line. He's easily the best player. It's just going to be who gets to be on the coattails. Who's going to be on the coattails?
Based on what we saw in those last 13 games last year, absolutely he'll be the best. But 13 games is also a small sample size if I'm gonna be pretty harsh on the second line like I was earlier in the show. Static 7, Veleno is my favorite. Give Veleno a real chance. All right. Here's the thing. Veleno right now, Mike, sits as out of 20.
He does have outstanding eyebrows.
Out of 23 players that have put on the winged wheel, Mike, Veleno sits at 23rd right now in expected goals for percentage. And he's also, from an attempt standpoint, 18th. So he's also last in production. So production he's allowing compared to production he's putting on the ice. So these are percentages that will also reflect his role. What I mean by that is you could say he's, like we said earlier, he's not put in the position to succeed offensively, but that does not hinder him and his line mates and his role from preventing defensively. Either side, he's getting absolutely just bowled over. And his level of competition is also lower. This is all coming from evolving hockey. So I'm just saying, we can do that with Veleno. I will, like we said earlier, this team is in position to experiment and try things out. But so far, I think I'm just trying to reiterate this argument that Veleno's not bad. We're not giving up on Veleno, but there's nothing that I'm seeing where I go, yep, you got to throw him on the second or third line. There's nothing I'm seeing right now. So it's a lot of it's going against him.
Yeah, we don't hate him. He hasn't shown me that, the only thing that he has going for him is he doesn't have a lot of exposure. So we don't know that he's also going to be as frustrating as Zadina or Rasmussen.
Now, B-Van clearly hasn't been watching every episode because we've had full episodes dedicated to how great Zadina's been playing from.
We try to mention that, the deep cut stuff, and he's only 22. But I really haven't seen the deep cut stuff from Veleno yet, so I'm still kind of twiddling my thumbs waiting.
You got to focus on the words that we're saying too. Like, again, I can't say it enough that we're not giving up on him in any way, shape, or form. But we're making these arguments to continue what happened with the second line last night. Let that line keep rolling because there isn't anything that Zadina hasn't done enough to say that he comes back after being a healthy scratch and he should be put in there. We're just those are those arguments we're making. And I think it was even mentioned earlier because we mentioned it in the show and one of our comments too. Like, he's been bumped down regardless of what we say. He's been in the bottom 6. He's out of the power play. So it's not even our doing. It's just his own play has kind of pushed him down there. So it's just, you can't really point to a lot and say, wow, look at what Zadina's done so far. I think that's extremely fair to say. And Veleno, being tough on him, no, we're just saying, what have we seen to say that he should be slotted in the second line? That's an important role. But just to finish this off, Jesus Christ. We're still happy to give it a shot because we're in that position right now. We are not winning the Stanley Cup this year. Anyway, Jesus. Yeah, I guess I'm
It's
sorry,
okay, man.
everybody.
It's okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, they are rookies, right? We're being kind of tough on them, but
we're not giving up.
we're not.
Damn
I don't
it.
want to bundle both of them for a third rounder next year. That's not what we're hinting at. But I do think that we can kind of, we just have the Veleno colored glasses on. I think some of us, and he hasn't quite earned all this infatuation. I don't think yet. Outside of those awesome eyebrows, which is somebody who doesn't really have eyebrows, I'm pretty jealous of.
All right. Since we're probably losing some folks here, we can start talking positive again because we've got a big matchup against.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think everybody knows he's got the best eyebrows on the team, man. There's no disputing that.
We've got Anaheim coming up, Mike. So the big battle of Lucas Raymond and Trevor Zegras is finally here. It'll be our new Ovechkin Crosby. Zegras versus Lucas Raymond. Raymond added to his totals. He's at 29 points so far. The 19 assists.
Are you telling me we've seen Lucas and Mo do their cutesy stuff outside the rink, right? Where they're synchronized and they're best buddies already. Are you telling me that they're not like getting together and Sider's like, I'm going to shadow the shit out of this guy. He's not getting a single shot, buddy. You're going to win that goal scoring rookie title. I got you.
Oh man. Can I just say, like, we've talked before about like, oh, how could you don't get so physical on these rookies? All this rookie hazing is ridiculous. But seriously, Mo, just crush the fuck out of Zegras. Just destroy him. I did pull up another Static 7 threw in there again. Don't effing give up. We're not giving up, damn it. All right. So I did want to pull these up, Mike. I said we were going to be positive, but I pulled up the comparison so far of Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, and Trevor Zegras. So far, the advanced analytics say if you're putting your money down on one of these guys to win the Calder, regardless of production, you give it to the guy who's playing well from the expected perspective, because you could always make the argument that Lucas has been more successful than he should be. And you look at the guys he plays with, and we've made jokes about Tyler Bertuzzi rolling in with a 60% shooting percentage. So, yeah, like those are fake points because you can't count on that forever. But it happens with Zegras. Mike, he has one of the best highlights of the year so far. And even he didn't
one
think
of the greatest highlights in the history of recorded sports.
But even he didn't think that was going in. You saw his face, just jaw on the floor. He was like, holy crap, that went in. So
I wish that you had that queued up for us, because that was one of the most amazing, like 8 seconds. Like the guys at EA Sports are going to have to figure out how to put that into the next game, because it's not physically possible.
Okay, B-Man. Oh my God, dude. Cut it out. Oh, that's making me so goddamn angry.
B-Man, give us some more. I like seeing Matt squirm. Make him squirm.
What could we possibly be saying right now? Do you think Steve Yzerman is looking at what Joe Veleno's doing and he's like, oh my God, I can't wait to get outshot 7-3.
Larkin, we're bumping into the second line, buddy. Put Veleno up there with Raymond.
It's just about looking at the statistics right now and analyzing from that perspective. Good gravy. All right. And then there's Mo Seider, who, everything we've seen, this is where we jump outside of the analytics, because we know Mo Seider looks like, Mike, at times he's looked like an elite defenseman that could just about, be ready to go in an all-star game, and we'd have nobody across the league nobody would care. They'd be happy with it. Let's put Moritz Seider in all-star games. No problem. Lickety split. Let's roll.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the advanced analytics perspective, though, we see, we could look at production. We could see the highlights of these two players, or I should say these three players. And I think it's fair to say Zegras right now, like you said, since he has the best, as you said, in recorded sports history highlights. So he's probably got the nod there. So yeah, what you'd have to hope for is just a huge separation at some point. If we go back to this slide, the 29 points that Lucas has right now,
And
I mean,
guess,
Mo is the thinking man's Calder winner, but when
You're
they
right.
all submit their highlight reels
it's about
for the
being
Calder,
realistic with who everybody's going to vote for.
Yeah, I'm voting for one highlight. I'm voting for the most magical goal in NHL history.
Okay, B-Van wants to put Lucas Raymond on the third line.
What? What is happening?
I don't know what's going on. He wants to
We're
put
going wildly
Joe
off the
Veleno on the first line with Zadina and who else? Who should we call up from Grand Rapids? Let's put Taro Hirose.
Ooh, there's a hot ticket. Yeah, like that.
All right. Static 7's still giving us shit, by the way. He's still letting us know we need Zadina since we've campaigned for him to be thrown in prison, throw away the key. All right. I'm so distracted by the comments right now. This show has just gone to complete hell.
I love that it gets under your skin. I don't know why it tickles me.
No,
so
he
much.
hates hockey.
You hate hockey? Oh no!
Static 7 hates hockey now.
Don't give up, Static 7. Don't give up.
Yeah, I've got to send it right back your way.
Spin it back. Yeah.
All right. So now that this plan of mine is in complete shambles, the main point of excitement for this game coming up again is Zegras, Lucas Raymond, and Suter going at it. Taking a look at the actual matchup, though, the Wingdings and the Ducks. You've got a team that's actually shown it a few times this year that they legitimately could. The playoffs are a legit conversation. And then for the Wingdings, it's just one of those where we're in and out, and we're moving further and further away from that being an everyday part of the conversation. So you could see it here highlighted.
Like most of the time, it's the 5-on-5 stuff. It's pretty kind of back and forth, but the special teams is the issue. We can't score on the power play, and the Ducks are incredible at stopping against. So that's probably not a recipe for Red Wings success. Already being a road game, we know how bad that disparity is between home and road performances by our beloved winged wheel boys. But a team that's really good at stopping power play goals, and Red Wings. I don't know. Tom Gay, his words are falling on deaf ears, Matt. We're still not really scoring on the power play.
If he takes a look at that penalty kill and tries to adjust, no. That is super disappointing because I was the bonehead who said we'd have a really great power play this year based on our exhibition games or preseason games this year. And then I probably just blind excitement for a new power play coach. But I think, all we're seeing is just more evidence that we have a lot of holes to fill because those are the teams that have more success on the power play, have those holes already filled on the wing. You've got your flanks ready to go. We're watching Lucas Raymond give Bumper a shot, which that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. I don't know. I don't know what you think, Mike. I know people have been pretty harsh on Jeff for putting Lucas in the bumper. He's got a pretty good reason for doing it because he's comparing Lucas to the likes of Braden Point. But either way, we're still in this mode of experimenting on the power play. So clearly we're not in the conversation yet of moving past what Jay Fresh has us measured as the 28th best team in the NHL from a special teams and power play perspective. So, yeah. To sum it up, Mike, I think you already did most of it. If this gets out of hand from a special teams perspective, if there are going to be a lot of penalties called, I think you could safely say the Ducks take this one. But, if we can keep it 5-on-5, it'll just be kind of a flip of the coin by the end of this game.
Yeah. I don't know if there isn't much more to that. If we're going to DraftKings and putting money down on this one, I think you go Ducks. But maybe we'll win again in our next home game. This is not one I would bet Red Wings for.
Yeah, and I think right now the Ducks stand at 43 points, second in the Pacific right now, and that 43 points I think has them tied for third right now in the Western Conference. So they're playing great. I think the conversation of them being more of a more playoff conversation and playoff contender rather than it being Stanley Cup contender just depends on how long you think they'll keep this rolling. Nobody really pegged them to kind of take this huge leap in the standings. So how long is it going to go?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put money on the Red Wings, but man, this should really be a must-watch just to watch that Rookie of the Year battle, because this is probably going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, if they had any, I don't think they have the ability to like switch things up and like do a TNT or ESPN kind of rollout like on the fly. But
the flex, like a flex schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the NFL does. Yeah.
If they had that ability, now is the time to roll that out. And then just before we do our next episode, we do have the Kings as well, which from a 5-on-5 perspective, Mike, they'll take it. This is a different conversation. Special teams, absolute dog crap on either side of the ice here for the Wings and the Kings. But goaltending, the Kings have it. 5-on-5 goals against, the Kings have it. 5-on-5 expected goals for, the Kings have it. You're talking literally the exact opposite game going on between the Ducks and the Kings, and what as a Red Wings fan you'd hope for, or at least where the loss could come from is what I should say. So the loss comes from against the Ducks, the special teams play. Loss against the Kings comes from steadfast 5-on-5. So if you can't get past their goaltender, who's their goaltending, I should say, is 5th in the league, you're also going to struggle getting past the 4th ranked expected goals against, or I'm sorry, 5-on-5 goals against team, and the number 6 ranked 5-on-5 expected goals for team. So they're putting the chances on there. Both of us are struggling to just hit the back of the net, but when you're talking about the Wings playing on the road, playing a team that will control the puck at home, and what a terrible way for me to sum up 2 games. How are we going to lose? Well, that's it. Rest of it's crossing your fingers, Mike. Hoping for 60% shooting percentage from Tyler Bertuzzi. But I do think, number one, go back to that Ducks game. You're really hoping for Suter and Lucas to kind of, flip another switch. You've got Zegras out there. You want to show what you can do. You want to show that you're the rookie everybody should be talking about. Fear is, Trevor knows that too. So hold your breath. All right. Where are we at? Silver 34. Verana is a leader. There's a couple messages here. And Static 7 is getting in a fight with Ace Fishing, Silver 34. Yeah, we're all fighting.
I'm missing the whole fight.
Yeah, I know. I'm in control of the comments. Here B-Van did say he wasn't putting Raymond on the third line. He's saying his production would be worse if he was on the third line. I mean, that's the thing of it. It's just, are you really looking at Lucas Raymond and Joe Veleno or Filip Zadina, and you're saying those guys are on the same level right now? Are we really having that conversation?
I really, maybe he's watching a, different game, but I thought it was pretty objective, noticeable difference. I mean, from minors, up to scouting reports, up to, certain, skills that I don't even know if they're coachable. I think it's just kind of certain things you're kind of imbued with as a natural talent for Lucas. I mean, that's not just 2 idiots like us talking. I mean, that's people who've played, people in the booth who, he just has this uncanny ability to, make a bunch of smart plays along the boards, making smart passes, having a wicked shot. I don't know if a lot of human beings have that. Something Raymond definitely does. So I to an extent, like, I think your point, if he wasn't playing with Larkin and Bertuzzi, sure, his points would probably be down, but I think he's getting that chance up there because he has objectively more talent than those other first rounders.
But can we talk about, like, Larkin's on pace to have a career year? He's been playing with Tyler Bertuzzi the whole time. Now he's playing with Lucas Raymond. I'm not having that conversation, right? Like, we're not comparing right now. We're just not doing that. I'm sorry. It's not about just playing on the first line. I mean, this is beyond analytics and eyeball tests. Lucas Raymond is better than Joe Veleno and Filip Zadina. And may I say one more time, we're not giving up on either one of those guys. I just think it's crazy to say that they absolutely belong on the second line of any NHL team right now. It's just fair to say they need time to continue to learn and get better. That's not out of the realm of.
And with Veleno, I think the reason we brought up, like a St. Louis Fabbri situation or a Brendan Perlini situation is, we're at the end of that contract. So he's going to be a restricted free agent. And what do you do? What do you do for both sides? Because the production hasn't been here yet for Detroit. And if you're going to sign him, it costs money and it's a roster spot. So, it's just a couple things to consider, whether or not a reset might be in the best interest of all parties. He's only 22, but just something to think about here.
Well, Mike, we've still got so much to talk about Red Wings wise. We have our 200th episode coming up this weekend, so Matt has he's got a surprise up his sleeve for anybody that wants to tune in. I'll try and post like an actual time we're gonna do it, so you guys can see what's going on with the 200th episode. B-Vin, I hope you're there. Static 7, I hope you're there. We're just gonna do a whole episode about who we could trade Veleno and Zadina for. I'm just kidding. But we'll have some fun. Should mention that the shop is finally updated. Those prices are where they're supposed to be at now. Everything's at least $10 cheaper across the board. Or it's been cut in half completely. So if you guys want to go to bodpodcast.com or brothersofdiscussion.com and click on the shop button, we'll be good to go. Go ahead and order your stuff, support the show. Other couple ways you can support us, hit that subscribe button right now. We're so close, I think, to 600. I got confused because where's our Twitter? Finally hit 900. So it's we're kind of we're in lockstep. So yeah. Twitter's hitting 900 followers. We'd love some of y'all who are new. I think that includes BVan53. Have fun with us. Hit subscribe. We'll keep arguing about whether or not Lucas Raymond or Joe Veleno is better. And how
are they locks for the Hall of Fame?
And then, hit those like buttons too. If you guys do have a second, that would also do us a great deal of good. And if you want to, you see those fun size episodes pop up. There'll probably be something we've just discussed. We'll keep them nice and short. You guys do us that favor. Just hit the like button if you see it pop up. Does us a world of good. All right, everybody. Oh, podcast listeners, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple. That's really the best place to do it. But everybody, thanks for tuning in. We got to throw this out there. Fethtar, thank you. And Jared, throwing it out there, 3 shy of 600. Yeah. Let's do it, guys. And Static 7, we were so wrong about Pettersson. Well, I would say we were well wrong for all of you YouTube.
I would say that we were right because his best option was Detroit. Clearly.
Boom. All right. With that, we're rolling it out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Go to him, Mike. You got him.
Yeah.